Alright, boys. Alright. Let's lock in. Bro, that was so gay. That was actually so fucking gay, bro. You know, I've been getting a lot of shit on my intro, my YouTube intro, and I just want people to know. First of all, there's 40 of us. So, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm not making any money off of this. So the hate for my intro, which is a solid intro, and I had a vision for this. This was pretty much an original idea. I took this and I wanted to make an intro out of it, and I wanted it to look cool, and I made this, and I think it looks fucking dope. And whenever I can pay somebody to create a better one, I definitely will. But guess what? There's 5 views on this video from 2 days ago, my boy. Whenever I start making money off this is the day that I will fucking 100% pay somebody to animate this exactly how I want it for me. But until then, my boy, until then, this is what it's gonna look like. Okay, this one right here. Yep. So, I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm off of that now. To the video. This one is from Grand Khalifa. How did ancient humans kill boredom? It's a privilege to experience boredom. The saddest thing is that most musicians don't know that one of the oldest instruments was a leaf. Leaf blowing is seriously one of the most underrated music. Okay. What? So this video finds everybody at 2 a.m. No, it found me at 9:40 a.m. All right, me at home bored, me at work bored, me with my phone right now bored. All right, how did ancient humans kill boredom? Let's go.
Right now, you have 47 apps on your phone, a streaming service with 10,000 things to watch, a podcast for every topic that has ever existed, and somehow, you still get bored.
So let me tell you something. I'm already fucking pausing this shit. I'm terrible. So I have realized I'm a big music person. Like, I make music and everything. So, you know, like my main release is music. Here lately on road trips, if I listen to songs, or even if I have like an hour drive, if I listen to songs in my head, and this might be my ADHD, this is probably something that's wrong with me, but I see the songs being broken up of my hour drive into 5-minute segments, so it feels like the road trip is gonna take forever. Whereas if I put on a podcast that is an hour long and they're talking about a subject, I can get. There's no problem there. Like, I can get past it, no problem. I don't have any problem. Like, I can just go listen to Joe Rogan talk for 2 hours. And that's just been here in the last 2 or 3 years. And I don't know if that's just because I'm old.
Bored. So here's a question nobody thinks to ask.
I'm probably
What
just
did
old.
ancient humans do when they were bored? Not medieval humans, not ancient Romans, not even ancient Egyptians. We're going back further than that. 100,000 years. 200,000 years.
When was the last time that you drove for hours with nothing on, or even an hour with nothing on, and you just fuck? The only time I do that is if life is beating my fucking ass. That is the only time that I will sit there and not drive with something on. Even at the house, bro, I have to have something on all of the fucking time. There has to be some lo-fi music playing. There's got to be something like going at all times, because I can't sit in silence.
Back when there was no writing, no art, no music, no language as we know it, just people, sitting there, with nothing to do. The answer changes everything we think we know about creativity, religion, and why your brain works the way it does. But first, did boredom even exist back then? This is actually a serious scientific debate. For a long time, researchers assumed our earliest ancestors were too busy surviving to get bored. Every waking hour was hunting, foraging, building shelter. There was no downtime.
Yeah, there was.
But that assumption turned out to be wrong. Very wrong.
How fucking hard is that to figure out? You think people just never stop? What are we even talking about? Who said that?
1966, anthropologist Marshall Salins published a paper that flipped everything. He had spent years studying the Kung San people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth still living something close to the original human lifestyle. What he found was this. They worked, on average, about 15 to 20 hours per week. That's it. Not per day, per week. The rest of the time, they rested, they talked, they sat, they did nothing in particular. Salins called them the
best schedule ever. The way that America has their schedule set up now, this is why I do the job that I do right now, obviously, because I don't make a lot of money on that. I do this for fun. But the job that I have right now allows me to work anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week. You know, like At most, I'll pull in 40 hours, and really mentally, I'm pulling in 40 to 50 hours. But like being there on site, probably around like 15 to 20,
The original
which is
affluent society,
optimal.
not because they had stuff,
The other stuff
because
is going
they
to
had
create
time,
burnout.
more free time than most modern humans ever get. So the question isn't whether ancient humans got bored. The question is what happened when they did. Let's start with the obvious one. They played. This sounds simple. It isn't. In 2010, archaeologist Francesco De Rico and his team studied a collection of shells found at a site in South Africa called Blombos Cave. The shells were 75,000 years old. They had holes drilled through them, and they were coated in red ochre. These weren't tools. They weren't weapons. They weren't food. They were beads. Someone had sat down 75,000 years ago with nothing better to do and made themselves jewelry. That's the oldest known art object in human history, and it started with boredom. But here's what's really interesting. Making those beads would have taken hours, maybe days. Drilling through a shell with a stone tool, without electricity, without metal, without patience built by a
Just
lifetime
pure
of
persistence,
entertainment.
baby.
That is a long afternoon. And they did it anyway, because the alternative was staring at the wall of a cave. Necessity didn't invent art, boredom did. The same pattern shows up in music. In 2008, researchers excavating a cave in southern Germany found a flute. It was made from the bone of a vulture. It had 5 finger holes. It was 40,000 years old. Someone, 40,000 years ago, before agriculture, before cities, before any civilization we would recognize, sat down and invented music. Not because they had to, because they had a free afternoon and a bird bone. And it turns out music is what the brain does when it has nothing else to process. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin, who studies the origins of music,
Hey, yo, how garbage do you think that song was? Hey, bro, that's probably like the most garbage song ever fucking made, honestly. How crazy bad do you think that song was?
argues that musical ability is older than language. Our brains were wired for rhythm and melody
And his boy was like, hold up, play that shit one more time, bro. What?
before we could form complex sentences, because rhythm is pattern recognition, and pattern recognition kept us alive. But boredom didn't just invent art and music. It invented something far more powerful. It invented imagination. Think about this. You cannot be bored without a concept of time. To be bored, you have to know that this moment is lasting too long, that something else could be happening, that the future exists and it could be better than right now. Boredom is, in a very real sense, the first sign that a brain has developed the ability to imagine things that don't exist yet. Animals don't get bored the way humans do. A dog waiting for its owner isn't bored. It's just waiting. It doesn't have a concept of what else it could be doing. But a human sitting in a cave 100,000 years ago, staring at the fire, nothing to do, starts to think. What if the hunt goes wrong tomorrow? What if that sound outside is a predator? What's beyond that mountain? Where do we go when we die? Every question religion has ever asked. Every question philosophy has ever asked. Every question science is still trying to answer. All of them started the same way. Someone was bored, and their mind started wandering. In 2013, psychologist Sandy Mann published research showing that boredom significantly increases creative output. She had people perform the most boring tasks she could devise, copying numbers from a phone book, and then tested their creativity immediately afterward. The bored group dramatically outperformed everyone else, because boredom forces the brain to generate its own stimulation. And the brain, when
Yeah, bro, there's not enough of that going on nowadays. Nowadays, bro, and this is something I talked about with my girl, I have to forcefully like put my phone in another room in the house just to not touch it, because I will catch myself like just sitting at doorways. I'll catch myself just sitting at doorways, just fucking scrolling, bro. Like in the middle of a doorway, just fucking I look like a fucking addict, bro. Like imagine if there was no phone there and you were just looking at your hand. Bro, it's an addiction.
left to its own devices, is extraordinary. But there's one more thing ancient humans did when they were bored, and it's the one that mattered most. They talked. Not about hunting, not about food, not about logistics. They told stories. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, the same researcher who discovered that human social groups naturally cap at around 150 people, spent years studying what humans talk about when they're not talking about anything important. His finding? Roughly 65% of all human conversation is social gossip. Who did what? Who said what? What happened to someone you both know? This sounds like a waste of time. It wasn't. Dunbar argues that language itself evolved not for practical communication, but for social bonding. Before language, primates bonded by grooming each other, physically. But grooming takes time. It's one-to-one. You can only groom one friend at a time. Language replaced grooming.
I feel like I could groom at least 3 people at one time, but alright.
Now you could bond with 3 people at once. 10. A whole group around a fire. You could tell a story about someone who wasn't even there. You could build trust with people you'd never touched. Language, and therefore human civilization, didn't emerge because we needed to coordinate hunts. It emerged because we were sitting around with nothing to do, and we started talking about each other. Boredom invented gossip, and gossip invented society.
Yo, what do you think the first gossip was? Let me think. Because it's probably, I'm sure everybody smelled bad, so it wouldn't be like smell. What would it be? What were they gossiping about? Yeah, it probably was smell. Somebody smelled worse than, because even now, bro, like, what I smell like whenever I'm fucked up and, like, I haven't showered is not the equivalent as some of my friends at the exact same time of not showering, bro. We stink different.
So here's where we've ended up. 75,000 years ago, someone bored in a cave made a bead. 40,000 years ago, someone bored in a different cave made a flute. And somewhere in between, people sitting around fires with nothing to do started asking questions no one had answers to. About death, about the sky, about why things are the way they are. And some of those questions became religion. Some of them became science. Some of them became art. Some of them became you, lying awake at 2 a.m. with your phone on your chest, thinking about nothing in particular. Here's the part nobody talks about.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's debuffing our, like, creativity, because at any moment I can sit there and get inspiration, like, constant. Like, can you imagine, like, sitting in a cave as a fucking, you know, Neanderthal that just gained consciousness, and you're experiencing boredom for the first time in humanity, and there's nothing around? Now, I will say it would probably be cured by just looking at the sky, because the sky is fucking crazy. Especially back in those times, because there was no light pollution either. So you could see almost like a fucking glass window straight into space, which is, you know, probably where a lot of that imagination went to. But still, like, bro, at any point I can pick up my phone and see, and like, within 3 minutes I can take a picture of my dog dancing, or my dog sitting there, and I'll fucking AI it into her, like, with full-grown legs, or, you know, like, up dancing and shit. Like,
psychology has a term for what happens when you eliminate boredom completely. They call it cognitive overload. When every moment is stimulated, the brain never gets the chance to do what it was built to do in the quiet moments. Process, consolidate, create. The default mode network, the part of your brain that activates when you're doing nothing, is the same network responsible for creativity, self-reflection, and empathy. It only turns on when you're bored. We spent 300,000 years learning to fill silence with something meaningful. Then we invented the smartphone, and we've been filling silence ever since. But every time you put the phone down and sit with nothing for a moment, every time your mind starts to wander and you let it, you're doing the same thing the person in the cave was doing, the same thing that made the bead, the same thing that made the flute, the same thing that looked up at the stars and started asking why. Boredom didn't hold ancient humans back. It's what made them human. And it might.
And this is a great argument for why going to the gym is so important.
Be doing the same thing for you, if you let it.
Yeah, this is why going to the gym is so important, because honestly, what was I gonna say? Fuck, guys, I'm sorry. This is why. What was I gonna say? Something about something. Oh yeah, the gym. Yeah. So going to the gym is super important, because you give yourself that hour to not think about anything at all and just be completely immersed in working out, or you know, whatever it is that whatever it is that's stressing you out in life. That's where I go to think about it. So I give myself that hour and a half to, like, just listen to music, you know, and just fucking beat my body down. I don't know, man. This is a great argument for you. You need that time to fucking sit there and think. Good video, though. Subscribe. What was the name? Grand Khalifa. Subscribe. 5.27 subscribers. Hell yeah, bro. I love that. I love that. All right, cool.